Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai, the start of the international endurance season.
There aren't too many races like this in the whole world.
It's something that's almost indescribable unless you've been here and experienced it yourself.
Hello everybody, welcome along to Dubai Autodrome for this, the 19th running of the 24 Hours of Dubai. We are here for night practice this evening, a 90-minute session coming your way under the new floodlights here at Dubai Autodrome. We are fully lit around the entire 16 corners, the 5.39 kilometres of this circuit, and it's going to be a different experience for all of those who have raced here before. And I am really, really happy to have Andrew married alongside of me, the fountain of knowledge as we talk about what's happened previously and what's going to happen. Here we go with what's happened previously. The Middle East Trophy, this is the final round this weekend. We started in Kuwait in December with the 12-hour, the 6-hour of Abu Dhabi last weekend, and we are here with the 24 Hours of Dubai. And Snow, it's a, sorry, Andrew, it's a really warm welcome back to you, and welcome back to Dubai.
Thanks very much. Well, you've mentioned the extra lights here, but nevertheless, we're going to have the sparks.
Yes.
We're going to have the flames out of the exhausts. We're going to have the lights arcing across this Dubai Autodrome. And it's just sensational. I love night racing. I've been to them all. See, I might have done almost 50 of them.
Oh, wow.
But there's nothing like racing in the night. And also, we might even have, on those Porsches, and some of the cars certainly, some glowing red turbos.
Oh yes, because you can see them out of the back of the 992 cars, can't you?
Yes.
And the Lamborghini, the Lamborghini flames. We've got one of them in there as well. We're not too far away from getting underway. Cars making their way down to the fuel station at the moment to top the tanks up for this 90-minute session. We're going to have Diana Binks and Peter Snowy Snowden down in the pit lane, catching up with all of the action that happens down there during this session.
And for the first time, obviously, it happened in the testing sessions, but the first time, because we've had the qualifying,
yes,
but this is the first time all the cars are running together.
Indeed. At the
56, I think, at the last
55.
count, or 55, that's right, at the last count. Now, obviously, been a lot more here in previous races. Too many, really, I think. And I think this is just a nice number. But the quality is certainly, I mean, 56 cars or whatever. It is a lot, isn't it?
It is.
But some great GT3 cars, some great names. We've got ex-Formula 1 drivers here. And Phil, here's a quiz question for you.
I'm bad at quizzes. I get
who, and he's in the race, okay?
Yep.
Who is the only driver to have raced in only one Grand Prix, but he led it?
Oh.
A dynasty, a German dynasty, I'll help you.
No.
Okay, you score 0 points. Marcus Winkel.
Marcus Winkel, of course.
In the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, and he only led it, of course, because he made an off-the-wall tyre choice, or the team did. I think it was it Spiker, I think, or Midland, or whatever they call that. So he made the off-the-wall tyre choice, and it helped him lead the race. It's a lovely bloke, Marcus, and won the Sebring 24 Hours we did a few years ago.
Yes.
So that's... You failed that, but I'm sure you're going to get something else. It'd be a little bit unfair of me, to be honest.
That's fine, because I was just getting you all excited because the pit lane is open and we are green running now for this session. All the categories out there, we have got 23 GT cars, 3 GTX cars, 20 992 cars, 3 GT4, 2 TCR and 4 TCX cars. So this is going to be a fast race because those 992 Cup cars, yes, they can't go around the corners as quick, but boy, are they fast in a straight line.
They've got lots of horsepower, lots of great German horsepower, haven't they?
Yes.
And the car is in the spec of the. There's a few different specs in Porsche Carrera Cups, but they run in the Deutschland spec, which is the biggest of all the series. I think possibly the same spec as Super Cup. There might be a few little aero changes on the Super Cup car, but anyway, they'll be in the mix. We've got Mercedes-Benz. We've got Audis, who have proved very quick in qualifying. We've got Janettas. We've got the unique Vortex 2.0, which was very quick in GTX. Took the pole early on. That might spit some flames out of its Chevy engine. And of course, we got BMW M4s. Of course, they won the race last year. Sadly, we don't have the factory team because of everything that has been happening in the or towards the Suez Canal in the Straits there. But so that team couldn't make it. But actually, because they are so good, that Belgian team, you know, they would have been a strong favourites.
Yes. Oh, most
definitely. And now it's thrown the race open, to my mind, more. And we got 2 nice Ferraris as well. And you, Phil, have driven one of those cars.
Yes, I have indeed, and did a very slow. I'm going to put that in context, just to test out what these new lights were like. And it's not Yas level of brightness. It is Kuwait level of brightness. Okay, so it's really nice for the drivers. We're going to see a much better view from all the camera shots from our 9 in-car cameras and our 10 cameras around the circuit, plus our drone, all over the weekend. So it's going to be fantastic. But I did get the opportunity to take a 296 around this circuit, and it was, well, I didn't get out of 4th gear. Come on. I used to be a racing driver. I had a hair on a waist back in those days. But it was great fun. And yeah,
and that's a 296 making its debut in this race.
Indeed, and we got 2 of them in the race. Now we can't go about not talking about the boys from Crew, the Bentley. That shakes this grandstand. Seriously, it is awesome, and it's great to have Bentley back in the Creventic series.
Bit of a story there. I mean, Bentley, of course, been super successful. Won Vensite Spa, won the British GT. As we see a replay
that's the HRT car. The 930 HRT.
Oh, he had the door open. That's what he was doing. He just shut the door.
Just getting a bit of air.
So, and those Bentleys also raced in America in Rattel's series.
Yes.
And the car we have here has actually come from that American team that ran them, K-Pax, and Sean Lynn, who's driving the car with his son.
Left-hand drive?
Oh, that's a very good question.
We're going to have to get Doyle have a look at that.
I doubt it, because I think the build at M Sport will have been the same. Sean Lynn, who's a big financier in the southeast of Britain, and has a wonderful collection of cars. He has 2 of the Bentleys that raced at Le Mans, so he liked Bentleys, so he bought these 2. What do I do with them? Will I put them in my museum? No, I'll bring one to Dubai, and I'll let my son drive with me, and then I'll put Rob Huff in the car as well, because, you know, Rob's done well here in the past.
Indeed he has.
Now, I'm not sure that the BPO's been too great to them, actually, because I noticed they added a little bit on last night. But
and we'll bring you up to date on that, because after qualifying there has been further BOP changes that have come up on this fantastic Creventic app. And if you want to go to 24H series and download the app, available for everybody on Android and on iPhone, it's got great information on it about the series and about what's going on.
Absolutely.
It's stunning. Talking to Darren Turner yesterday, he was very, very impressed with it.
Also, if you go on the regular website, of course, you've got the wonderful magazine for this race, which is effectively the programme. Well, you mentioned James Gent, who produces that in the previous broadcast, but he's done a phenomenal job with that. And you can download the whole thing, print it off if you've got enough printer ink.
Now, one of our favourite teams here, and one of Joe Bradley's favourite teams, is the Mutrans. Okay. Now, they were scheduled to be racing at the original race dates. Okay. Now, I ran into Ramsey yesterday, and he said, and I said, why aren't you on the entry list? And he said, okay, here's the thing. This weekend, my late father is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously. And we, as brothers, have to go to Beirut and accept it.
Understood.
And I understand now, and it's a big thing for their family. And so they send their apologies to all their supporters and to the RSL team who have been following them for many years. They started off here in a Clio, then they went to up to a TCR and then into the Porsches. They've done the whole gamut of this. I used to race alongside them in our local racing series, and they have to go up on stage and accept an award. They would be they hope this month they'd be on the podium and accepting the award, but they can only do one.
Such is life.
It is
It's wonderful that they're honouring their father. Just gone to the top of the pile, and it's the car collection Porsche of Dennis Marshall. We're so used to seeing car collection running Audis, Peter Schmidt's team, but suddenly switched to Porsches, and already 2:02. So we're a couple of seconds off in the dark, with just having run 2 laps.
Exactly.
So I think people will be ducking under the famous 2 minutes here.
I think so. Track evolution. It's cooled down. The greasiness from the sun has gone. And as we talked to many of the drivers during the qualifying, they're really looking forward to this second. The 496, they're running in the GT4 category, and that is the local team here, but from TTR. And they did very well. Just lost out on the pole position. There are a few investigations going on in regards to the qualifying, and we will not get the full qualifying, I don't think, until tomorrow morning. So what we're talking about at the moment is provisional only, because of things that the stewards saw, and there still are being a few questions asked.
Now, we talked about the flashes of flame, we talked about the sparks, well, I haven't seen any yet, but there's so much colour here. And Creventic have added to that, because in the top right-hand side of the windscreen, see the green lights flashing?
Yes.
That's giving you information. So we've got all that colour, and then to add to that, we've got a hotel right on the circuit here that has got strips of different coloured neon all around the building, and it looks sensational. I did just catch a glimpse of it out of just in shot, actually.
Yeah, that's the park in at turn 16 here at the circuit. They had a couple of words to say, please don't flash the magenta ones, because it maybe goes 60.
Very good. Look, there you see that lights flashing the green, and that GT4 BMW there, which was going nicely. I see the Vortex is up in 10th position. Peter Cox has gone fastest. Peter Cox has gone much faster than he went in qualifying. What's he found? Peter Cox, ex-factory BMW driver, lots of Le Mans experience, and subsequently experience with KTM. You know, he helped develop the early KTMs.
Yes.
Super Dutch driver, won a lot of races, big races in his career. I think he's heading towards 60 now, is Peter.
Wow.
And he's driving with his daughter, who's a pretty handy pilot as well. So at the moment, it's Peter Cox is fastest. The car collection car is gone for fuel, and it's got now Dennis Blattner in it. And then Ricardo Feller, who's had a stellar couple of seasons. Co-commentators were mentioning that earlier on. Ricardo Feller in the Attempto Racing Audi. We mentioned the car collection has swapped from Audi to Porsche. Attempto, long-time Porsche team, has swapped to an Audi. They've been one of the top teams in the Super Cup, particularly in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland over the years, run by Achim Acker, a real character. I covered for a while the PCC Deutschland, and we did ask Acker why it's attempt to race. You're not attempting to race, but it didn't mean that at all. It meant something else completely different in German that we didn't understand really. Another good time from a GT3 Cup driver, Christopher Zeutling. Got to win the Rabdan team. Now that's one of the local teams, and I think maybe just talk about some of the local teams here. Obviously the big name one is Dragon Racing, but there's quite a lot of racing teams based here in the Dubai Autodrome now.
Yeah, we used to have quite a few racing back in the earlier days before COVID, and it ebbs and flows. You've got to remember here in Dubai, we're a transient society. People may come here for 3 or 4 years, do some racing, and then we're going to Kuwait now, or we're going to Singapore, or we're going back to the UK. So it ebbs and flows with who's here, and consistency is very difficult to get with local team. However, Dragon have just celebrated their 10th birthday, so here in the Middle East, And so that's been a fantastic thing. They've been winners here before in the 488. In their previous
in GT4, yes.
They've had McLarens that they're running GT3 and GT4 as well. So they also are very heavily involved in the Ferrari Challenge that they take around the region. So they run a massive amount of motorsport here in the region to help people who come here and want to buy a car and go racing. They can get the licensing done, they can get everything done. So they're set up as a one-stop shop. And when you go down to the garage number 12 down the end there, they've also got their headquarters. We can see it from here. Yeah. We can see it on the back of the paddock. We can see the Dragon Racing International sign.
Now, that was set up by a guy who raced in Britain, Ferrari Challenge, Leon Price.
Yes.
And he's got Brad Fincham running, who's got a big motorsport history behind.
Yeah, well, Brad, I've seen him in his Bentley ovals. Yeah. and Leon, up until last year, was still getting in the car.
Yeah.
He would come out, and we used to have mini enduro races, and come in and do half the race and whatever. But spent many a time down in that garage. He bought a 333 Ferrari, one that had never raced, and out of America, and that used to sit down there. He had a Fiat Bath with a massive engine in it. Great car collection that he has in the Dragon Racing stables, but they also look after a lot of cars. So they've branched out here. And being based at the Autodrome makes it very easy for them to operate their business.
And they've hooked up with the ROFGO organisation, yes. With Royal Go Through with the operation run by Stuart Hall,
yep.
The racing side. But they've hooked up with that with this brand new Ferrari, which are also going to be racing in the Asian Le Mans series.
The Asian Le Mans series.
The Asian Le Mans, yeah.
Which will be here in next weekend.
Next week. So we're hearing Diana Binks down in the pits calling us. Di, what have you got for us down there?
Thank you very much. Yes, we are down here in the pit lane as everything starts to hot up. And the car that's just entered is the number 48 that you were just talking about, Peter Cox. He pits in P1 at this point, but Stephanie's daughter is with me here as well. And Stephanie, what are you hoping what's the objective of tonight? What information are you looking to gather?
Well, we had a bit of a difficult qualifying session before. And we figured out that we did have an issue with the car, which we also see now in the timings. So the objective is to have the car ready for tomorrow, to be okay, and hopefully have a good 24-hour.
What was the issue? Because obviously he's put in a pretty quick time there.
Well, the issue was something mechanical, which we measured after qualifying, which was a bit late. However, I'm happy that we found it, and it looks a bit better now, so promising for tomorrow.
I'm sure, Stephanie, you get asked this all the time. What's it like, basically, working with your dad?
Well, it's indescribable, actually. And to do it in a car like this is something else. And I'm very happy and grateful that I get to do it. And, of course, we want to perform as good as possible, but I try to enjoy as much as I can.
Has he always sort of encouraged you to be involved in racing?
Yeah, I did. I obviously grew up with it, and but I never had the pressure to go into racing. But yeah, it's also my thing, and that we get to do it together now, it's really amazing.
How satisfying is it for you when you have a good weekend?
Very satisfying. I think both my father and me, and also Dennis, Tom and Nico, we are very competitive. So we want to do as good as possible here and achieve a good result.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
And she's married to a professional cyclist. But also in that team is Tom Boonen, who is a great sprinter.
Oh, most definitely, yes.
Several Tour de France stage victories, but was very good at one-day events like the Tour de Flanders, which he won 3 or 4 times. So Tom Boonen, I think we've seen him before in a front-wheel drive car, not seen him in a Porsche before.
No, we've seen him in a front-wheel drive car. I remember that from a couple of years ago. Now, news from Creventic. We're going to give everybody 15 minutes more track time.
All right.
We're going to, from 8:45. We're now going up into 9 o'clock local time.
Yeah.
As we see the 909 glowing red disc brakes on that one. That is the Red Camel Jordans.nl. Hello to Paul Trustwell down there in the pits for them.
Cherry red, they call it, don't they?
Racing, sorry. My bad. But these guys, we're just seeing the disc starting to light up.
Ricardo Fella in the Attempto car back on the top of the pile, running number 99. Sven Muller very experienced Porsche protagonist. Won the Porsche Super Cup 2 or 3 times, if my memory serves me correctly. I'm not looking at my notes now.
No, please.
I think 3 times Sven Muller won the Porsche Carrera, the Super Cup, with the Proton Huber competition entry top team from Germany. So he is second now, just 0.1 of a second behind it, and just the fella's lap time was just the last lap, actually. Just hasn't quite made it under the 2 minutes. I'm sure somebody's going to.
They will do very shortly.
And the other Huber car actually just moved up to 5th with Florian Spengler in it. I'm trying to remember, he's related to the BMW factory driver Bruno Spengler, who did many years and won the DTM. I think he is. Luis Plato going well in the Century Motorsport BMW M4. And now, suddenly now, Axel Jeffries, late entry Axel, I'm sure you know him well, won this race twice.
Yes.
From a Rhodesia, I think he was born in the UK actually, but he's Rhodesian, or partly Rhodesian. He was part of the Red Bull program for a while. I saw him demonstrating a Red Bull Formula 1 car years ago in some city centre or something funny.
Actually, very well known around here.
Yeah.
Obviously, last weekend, he's an instructor down at the Yas Marina circuit.
Yeah.
Just lost the win, but the win of the AM, but lost outright. But the win of the AM, just having the fuel late into the race as he was running out of time. But they'd got his timing down to the second with the 2-hour maximum.
Well, he's running that McLaren with a relatively new team. Quite a lot of Yorkshire teams here, actually, from Barnsley. And the team, it's actually owned by a guy called Joe Edge, but well-known former racer Jody Firth is running that operation. And they certainly know what they're doing. Former Brit car champions. The car is number 76, and the team is called 7. Capital T 6 76 Racing. That makes sense. They got Fraser Ross in that car. They got a guy called George Nakas, and then they got a very interesting entrepreneur who lives in Dubai called Omar Jackson. Are you aware of Omar?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got something called OJ Lifestyle.
Yes.
I believe that he's got gym and fitness centres and that sort of stuff. But a very interesting guy. And I was reading his website. He was a kid that sold cakes at school to make money. You know, one of those sort of entrepreneurial kids. Went and worked in Primark and at Heathrow Airport, and then built up a very good business. So and now he's made his money in Dubai, actually, not in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
As you can hear, this stimulating, fantastic city that we're sitting in at this very moment here, at this terrific racetrack.
Pierre Caffa just leaving the pit lane now. The Centerlock Junior team got two cars of that, the 18 and the 26. But they're heading out now.
Just stop you a second. Yeah. The interesting thing on Caffa, of course, is obviously put it on the pole, but then had that steering problem that we had reported. Yeah. And my thought was it was something in the power assist. I'm not sure if it's electrical or mechanical in that car.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks as if it's fixed, doesn't it?
Yes.
As we look on our screen now.
So only 2 cars that haven't taken to the track as yet. The 795, the Toro Verde, the Janetta G56 Cup, and also the Homegard Motorsport Porsche 911, the 902.
That's usually a good car, so I don't know what's happening to those Danish guys.
So we've got 53 cars currently gone out of the pits, a few of them back into the pits, but a lot on their out laps. A couple of Darren Law in CP Racing has gone down to the fuel bowser. This is a little bit of training for their fuel guys because we're using the special Creventic pumps, and they all have a fuel tag which tells them their maximum BOP fuel and also fuel flow, and it sets the bowser up. Now the bowsers all have green and purple lights on them, and if it goes purple while you're filling, it will only allow your 25% or whatever be your BOP under code 60. It'll only take it to that and then stop the pump. So very intelligent fuel bowsers. So it takes all the guesswork out of it. And it's also a sticker on the side of the fuel nozzle. Now, Creventic Racing, we don't use dry brake systems. We use the normal pumps that you see at a petrol station on the motorway. And there's 2 crew guys that go down there in full fireproof overalls to look after the fueling of the cars, and it's a tough job.
Yeah,
it's a tough job for those guys and girls who look after that.
And the car has a sticker on it as well, tells you exactly how much fuel. And they're using a bit of that, the fuel flow and everything, as part of the BOP, and the amateurs get a bit better, and so it works out. Just on the track at the moment are 3 very interesting drivers who we didn't see. We got Di's got a message. I'll come back to that thought in a minute. Di, what have you got?
I'm with Lewis Plato, who's just jumped out of the number 22. You were talking about Lewis earlier on. You've just been out to put in a few laps during this night session. What have you found so far, Lewis?
For us, we're just, like I say, trying to turn laps in the car. We've had a really unfortunate week so far. We had a differential go in Abu Dhabi, and then we had a clutch go as well. So unfortunately, we had no running on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Sorry, we need to move into the pit lane.
That's okay. So pretty much all of the drivers have had about 10 laps prior to qualifying today. So we're just trying to circulate, dial in the car a little bit more what we can. We're also bedding in a few sets of brakes for the race, and obviously practicing pit stop procedures. But so far it looks like it's going okay.
Well, that's where all your experience comes from, doesn't it? You know what to do when you're faced with these challenges, and it's a long race. We've got a 24-hour race ahead, but you've got to get on top of these gremlins and get that lap times in.
Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't put it more right. And the team as well are doing a tremendous job. Like I say, we've started off on the back foot, but it's great having such an established team to really point us in the right direction, and also just keep all our heads up as well for tomorrow's race.
So what's the strategy for the rest of the evening?
Well, we've got Jake new to the team. So me, Carl and Jack have been doing the whole series, Middle East series. Jake's new for this weekend. Like I say, unfortunately, he's lost a lot of the testing that's been available. So hopefully for the rest of the run, try and get him a decent session just to really actually learn the car. And like I say, same for Carl as well.
So what do you sort of say to him to sort of give him... Just let the car go. What words of encouragement do you give him to build his confidence as we head into the weekend?
To be honest, his first run in a car was fantastic. Actually well above really where we'd expect anyone to be in the first go. So he's already at a great point. Fortunately, he's raced in the 24 a few times now, so he understands the strategy, the race, the team, everything goes into it. And I think he'll be on top of it in no time at all.
Thanks, Lewis.
Thank you.
And that team run by Nathan Freak, who was a top karter in his time, and a British Formula 4 champion, and then for many years ran Janetta's, and now has built up this BMW Century team, got cars in both GT3 and GT4. Some interesting people. Sven Muller at the top of the pile now, but just looking down the list, some people we didn't see in qualifying, Phil. One of them, Pierre Kleinebing. Now, that might sound French or French and German. He's actually a Brazilian who now lives and has lived for many years in America, and was absolutely the star of what is now the Michelin Pilot Series. 20 years ago, he won it for 3 or 4 years, racing in Hondas, and Pierre hasn't raced so much these days, but it's nice to see him back, but he's still very, very quick. And so Pierre Kleinebing's in the Mercedes-Benz in the Heart of Racing team. Heart of Racing, of course, also racing at Daytona.
Busy weekend for those guys.
Yeah. And then also, still talking America, in the 85, drafted into the CP racing team is Darren Law.
Yes,
Darren Law is a former winner, outright winner of the Rolex Daytona 24 Hours. And
do you think they're not playing for this championship seriously?
Yeah, so that's interesting to see here. We're just looking down the list who else we've got there. But it'll be interesting to see how Darren gets on. He's also done a bit of pit reporting. I've worked with him at Speed Channel in the past, Darren, and he runs top team now in the States in Rattel Series. He runs the Flying Lizard team. He used to drive for Flying Lizard in the past, but when he won the Daytona 24 was with Brumos, when Brumos won it. all those 20
Very,
years ago.
very long time ago.
Yeah, that was in the first iteration of Daytona prototypes, the ugly ones with the big windscreens.
I remember those cars.
Yeah.
I still like them though.
Yeah. They got lots of grunt. Yeah, but nice to have Darren in that car, and he's a very fine racing driver. So Swendmuller went within 0.1 second of that 2-minute barrier we've been talking about, Phil. Dylan Pereira now in the Tempto car. And hello, Diana, what have you got now?
Well, you know, it's amazing. If I actually step outside of the garage, you can hear me. So I'm learning as we go along. I'm with the number 9 Get Speed, and Anthony Bartone has just jumped out of the car after being out there. How was that part? Yeah, how many laps did you get in?
I think 9. It's much lighter than the years before, I think, with all the lights on everywhere. A lot of traffic, so just trying to keep the car in one piece for tomorrow. But that was the first time I ever drove at night, and it wasn't bad at all. It was pretty lit everywhere, so it was not bad.
Is it a case of getting used to the lights? You said it's much lighter than it was.
Yeah, so I just, in preparation for this race, I watched a lot of the years before, and it was pitch black everywhere. And then I went out, and I think that there's a lot more light everywhere around the track, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then in the back, like 8 to 14. So it wasn't too bad with all the lights and everything.
Just ask him why he isn't drag racing. His father was an NHRA drag racing champion.
Andrew, our commentator up in the commentary booth, you can't hear him, but he's just talking while I'm talking to you. Ask me to ask about your father. Your father's a drag racer?
Yeah, so my dad drove nitro funny cars for 10 years and an alcohol funny car for probably 20. He still owns the team right now, and they're all in New York right now getting prepared for the next season. He's bummed he can't be here, but he'll be here soon.
He must be hugely encouraging of you doing sports car racing.
Yeah, whatever it is, like with a motor, 4 wheels, he's all for it. So a big part of the reason why I started this is because of his will to participate in motorsports, and then I owe everything to a guy right there with the phone, Andy Pilgrim. So both of them have taken me along for this journey the last 2 years.
How important is it for you to have the right people around you, like you've just mentioned, and obviously the support from the team that you have here?
Yeah, I would say that I've only driven 2 years. This is my second year this year in GT3, but I think we've come a long way since the very, very beginning of where I started, and I think it's everything to have the right coaches, people around you, teammates, managers, team, and I don't think there's a better program like on the planet than Get Speed. So very happy to be here, happy to be in the Dubai 24 Hour for my first time, and hopefully we come back many more times.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned so far?
What's
the biggest thing that you've learned in this journey so far?
There's going to be really good days and really bad days, and it just, whichever way it goes, you have to keep your head up and keep pushing, and whether it's the car's not good one day or you had a bad outing the day before, it doesn't matter, and you give your best foot every time.
Well, good luck over the weekend. No doubt we'll catch you through the race. We'll be live for the whole 24 hours. Many thank you.
Yeah, Anthony Bartone Jr. From Florida. I detected a slightly non-American accent.
No, it didn't sound fully American at all.
And coached early on by Andy Pilgrim, who we saw racing this series years ago, a really top Porsche driver, and actually originally from Nottingham, one of the big names in IMSA sports car racing.
Yeah, indeed.
Andy. But strange, don't you think so? You know, this big drag racing family with a big drag racing team, but this kid wants to turn left and right.
NHR drag racing, not for the faint-hearted.
No.
They run 1,000 foot in 3.7 seconds at 330 miles an hour. I've got relatives who do that. Dave Grubrick, is crew chief for Brittany Force.
Oh, wow.
And so he's over there with the Force family, based out of Yorba Linda in Los Angeles.
Now we got the wonderful KTM GT car. We used to own one.
Frames close as well. Now the downshift.
And yellow lights flashing and blue lights on it. And we got the green lights on the windscreens. Just so colourful here. Sven Muller still at the top of the pile, still hasn't broken the 2 minutes. Peter Kaffer got in his Santalock junior team car briefly and did 2 minutes 0.6 effectively. But very good time from Jack Barlow. We haven't mentioned Jack in the Century Motorsport 22 car, GT3 car. I think it's Jack Barlow, the guy. I need to look this up, but he was in some sort of beefcake TV series. But I don't think he got very far in it. I think that's the same bloke. We'll check that out. And a very George Nakas is not a guy I was aware of before this weekend. In that 76 team McLaren, he's up in 6th place. All these people lapping in 2 minutes.
Yes.
Between 2 minutes and 2 minutes 1. And so CP Racing Joe Foster's in that car now.
I had a really good chat with Joe. John Hindhaugh and I had a great chat with Joe about his business and everything in Kuwait when we were over there for round number 1 of the Middle East Trophy. And a fascinating, interesting man who makes parts for these sorts of cars as part of his business. Really, really loved a guy to talk to.
He used to run the Panos Racing Drivers School.
Absolutely great to chat with these guys.
And he's the guy that brought Patrick Dempsey into racing and was his co-driver at Le Mans, I think 3 or 4 years. Joe, a great guy. Now we got some decent lap times out of the Dragon Racing Ferrari. Jordan Grogor at the wheel. Now there's an interesting story. Jordan Grogor was racing in South Africa. It was, I don't know how to, it was just nobody really knew who he was.
Yep.
Came over to this country and his career took off.
Well, he got employed by a gentleman called Leon Price.
Yes.
And for Leon's steel industry, that's where he's got his income from. And Jordan was working for him. And that's obviously, and Jordan raced here in the Radical Series, right? He was very, very competitive, racing the SR3 and the SR8. Dragon owned an SR8 as well, and he raced in both of those categories. Then, when Dragon decided, okay, let's go Ferrari racing, I think it was in probably the one before the 488. 458, yeah, that was their first big car here. Then they went into the McLarens and had the McLarens here as well, and it's evolved from there.
But meanwhile, he got the chance to drive a lot of historic Formula 1 cars, of course. I saw him at the Monaco Historic, was it the last?
Yes.
And he was absolutely mega in something that wasn't really very good, if you know what I mean. It wasn't good in period anyway.
No, it wasn't. He has a fantastic drive, driving some of Fred Fatian's cars.
Yes.
And we see him there with that.
Maybe you just describe about Fred Fatian from France, but very much based in here in the operation he has here.
GPX Racing, obviously they race in GT racing around the world. His company is based here, has a base in France as well, and he has a massive amount of historic cars. The RS901 is still down in the garage, about 500 metres from our
Saw that
elbow.
racing in Creventic back in the day.
Yes, it raced here back in the day as well, and then they've raced various incarnations. But his GPX store, which is available online, he runs the Renault Clio Cup Series, a GPX run. You see all the GPX logos on there. So he does a lot of motorsport here, has a lovely place out on the Palm, but really lovely guy. Got time to talk to everybody. I met him in the paddock yesterday, talked to him about that. Oh, sorry, the Bentley's making a lovely noise.
Yes.
Sorry, I get swayed by that. So Fred with GPX here, they have an online store, they have everything set up for motorsport, and when we were having coffee after you arrived down in the Cars Cafe, a lot of the original helmets that he has down there as well.
Took a few photographs and some lovely, some lovely models as well, as Di brings another story from the Dubai pit lane.
From Team Parker Racing, who earlier on you were talking about the Bentley and wanted to know a bit more information about the car and the history and everything else. And I've been advised, Tom, that you are the man that can tell us about this car. There's huge interest in it, actually, on the fan forums, it seems, at the moment for the car. Great to see it here. What was the reasoning for bringing it back in?
Yeah, so it's had a great history. It was originally a works car that went to America, raced with a team called K-Pax in the US.
then did Europe in the SRO Championship, and then the customers just bought the car, and we thought this would be a great time to come and do a first race with the car and test the endurance capabilities of it. So yeah.
What have you found so far? Now it's early on. You've had some testing opportunities here.
Yeah, we've had some good times in testing. It's about the drivers learning the car and the track now. The car's really well suited to endurance racing, so we're really looking forward to the race.
And what are the biggest challenges it's going to bring for the drivers?
It's very hot in the day, and the engine's at the front, so we make it quite difficult for them in there. It's really hot conditions, but we've got a good aircon system, and then there's a lot of traffic as well. We're quite a big car, and so noticing all the smaller cars around us is pretty difficult.
And of course, it's a right-hand drive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the correct hand drive. You're absolutely right. But really, when they get used to it after a few laps, they don't notice. It helps you on some circuits and hinders you a little bit on the others, but it doesn't really make much difference. So.
To be honest, earlier on, I was going to go and talk to one of the drivers in qualifying, and I went to the wrong side.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's quite unusual, but we, as Bentley, as the British, we like to do things a little bit differently. So yeah, that's definitely a good side to it. Yeah.
So what's the plan for you this evening? What's the objective? What do you need to learn looking ahead to that 24-hour race?
So we've got a couple of drivers who are very experienced in the night, but the younger guys, not so much experience at nighttime driving. So it's a new experience for them, getting used to the lights and the circuit, how it looks in the dark, and just getting them used to it so that in racing conditions they're really well prepared.
What's going to be the biggest thing to manage? Is it going to be the traffic? Is it going to be the tyres? Or is it going to be going into the night session?
Yeah, for us, the car's really good on its tyres. That's one of the strengths of the cars. So it's particularly the inexperienced guys, getting them used to the traffic is really the key. Yeah.
This year we've got 55 plus cars, but this pit lane seems incredibly busy on this night session.
Yeah, it's very busy. The weekend seems to have got busier and busier, but I think it shows the strength of the championship. There's so many cars and it makes a great racing. So.
Well, thanks for chatting to us. No doubt we'll grab you over the weekend for sure.
Thank you very much.
Of course, the customer he mentioned is Sean Lynn, who also owns 2 Le Mans Bentleys from 20-odd years ago. Not the winner, of course. I think Bentley kept that, but he's got two of the cars that raced at Le Mans, and he races them on occasion, and also got a wonderful GT40. And he was mentioning the young guys. Well, one of those young guys will be Sean's younger son, Maxwell. He said he doesn't have much night practice. I think Maxwell might have forgotten to tell him that he raced the GT40 in the night at the Le Mans Historic this year, so Classic. So much darker around Le Mans than it is around here, I can tell you.
Indeed, and
you're going pretty quick in a GT40, I'll tell you.
Slightly down.
Look at that, a great shot, yeah.
Or exhaust pipe, disc brakes.
And then the green on the front.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and also the green number plates. They've got a name, those, haven't they? It's a system. When I was a kid, they had numbers on the side, and then you had a little light which shone down, which came from Lucas and usually fell off.
It fell off. Well, it was Lucas. It was indeed.
The buttons stopped working.
Yeah, exactly. But that Bentley just went underneath the grandstand, and it rattles the grandstand. It makes such a sonorous noise.
We're under the 2 minutes. And it's the less known of the 2 Renard twins. Alfred Renard from Herberth Motorsport, the twins that run that team, took over from their father, who was so tragically killed in a road accident, actually. And that team from Bavaria, very much Bavarians.
Yes.
A bit like the Welsh say, well, yes, well, we're Welsh, we are British. Well, they're Bavarian. And it's a very understated team, Herberth. They won this race in the past. They came so close to winning it here last year. They're a terrific organisation. And the 4 of them have raced, I believe they've had 20 wins in this series over the years that they've been doing it.
It wouldn't be surprising.
Alfred's more the technical side, and Robert is more the absolute ace driver, but there isn't that much in them. I have identical twins, and I can tell mine apart. But those two,
no.
But they are girls saying, those two look absolutely the same, except occasionally one of them grows a bit of a beard. It's sometimes not the same one that always grows it, if you're with me. But the outstanding outfit. Actually, they're my tip to win. mark that down.
I will, indeed.
So Alfred's to a 1:59.839, and of course the four when they won here, they had Brendan Hartley with them.
Yes.
And it was just before he got his Formula 1 contract, which sadly didn't work out so well. I know Brendan well. He's a great guy. He's had a most fantastic career since, of course, in sports car racing, WEC World Champion 2 or 3 times, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, and they really enjoyed it. And the two amateur drivers in that team really loved working. They learned so much from Brendan. Daniel Alleman, who is 65, and this is his last race.
Oh, no.
Daniel Alleman's decided, he had a big shunt here, do you remember?
Yes,
the car didn't start 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
And he thought about retiring then. He didn't in the end, but then he's decided this is hanging his helmet up. And I love, he isn't the most voluble of drivers to interview, but maybe Di could go and try and find him in the 91 Herberth pit. I had to tell you, Di, if you haven't got your chart with you, it's the very last pit down the end there. So Daniel, I say, is 65 years old. He started racing and sort of in the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland. They got a B series there, and he did very well in that. I think he might be in business with the 4th member of the team, Ralph Bone.
Yep.
And Ralph's an AM Plus, and rightly so, and I'll explain the plus in a bit. Ralph's only a second or so off the two Renard brothers, and the 4 of them have been working so long together, they all know everything. So, yes, Di.
I'm with Lawrence Tomlinson when you've finished regaling your story from the 795.
Yeah, go on with Lawrence. How's that Janetta doing with its stonking engine?
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Absolutely fantastic to see you. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be back at the 24, so racing with my son, so it should be a bit of a laugh.
There must be an interesting breakfast conversation then when things haven't gone so well.
Well, it's usually about, turning or a bit of push, and should we go up on rear wing, or what do you think about the dampers, Bacon and eggs don't come into it.
How are things going, Lawrence? Obviously, you've had some track time with testing. We've had qualifying. We're now into the night session. What are you looking to learn from tonight to help you plan your strategy for the race?
Yeah, so I think we've got a really strong car for the race. We haven't got the ultimate speed just yet with this car. It's a brand new concept car for us. Sort of our initial target is to run just ahead of the 992s and behind the GT3s. So we're kind of almost there with it. We go back to the factory after these 3 races. We've done Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, and here. So yeah, it's a lot of development work to still go onto the car. Strategy-wise, I think it's not our first rodeo. So usually in these things, you generally beat yourself. So I think the key thing is not to beat yourself by going too fast or making mistakes. So we'll just try and, in the main race, we'll just try and run clean. So having said that, I'm starting. I'll probably smash it up.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Die.
Lawrence, how important is the development work that you do with the car? Obviously, you've got it racing in real time, but for you, for the Janettas, and that you've got them running all over the world, it's crucial.
Yeah, we've got a new GT Academy series starting in France with our partner over there. We've got a GT Academy starting in
I just need you to move for the...
sorry. GT Academy starting in North America. So all these people that we're bringing into GT racing, they need somewhere to go, and the GT Cup car, it's great fun, great track car, beautiful sounding V8. So just need to... the idea is kind of trying to keep the cost down, because everybody's complaining about how much motor racing costs. So we're hoping to go like twice as far on tyres. So because our cars, Janetta's historically are very easy on tyres. So it's not rocket science. So if you double stint your tyres, your tyre bill is roughly half. So.
I mean, you're learning and developing all the time. Is there anything that surprised you?
Yeah, unlike a lot of the big manufacturers, we we have to, due to cost reasons, do all our development work in public. What surprised me, I was thinking what surprised me is how fast the car is out of the box and how much... That Bentley sounds very nice. You know, how quick it is out of the box, and also, you know, with Mike, and we've got Nico Prost here with us as well.
How did that happen? How did that happen?
Such a huge amount of experience to develop the car very quickly, so I think we'll be up there. Maybe not quite as quick as the Vortex next time out, but when we get to Europe, we want to be ahead of the KTM and maybe just behind the Vortex.
Obviously, we're keen to catch up with Nico at some point. Great to see him back racing. How did that come together?
Nico's working with us on developing our new LMP3 project for 2025, and our partner in France, Charlie, CMR, does a lot of work with him. So Nico's going to be doing quite a bit of driving of the LMP3, and we just thought, come along and have some fun. And yeah, I mean, if you camp out here, he's getting in the car next, I think.
Yeah, we'll find him, don't you worry. Lawrence, thank you so much. Obviously, we'll chat to you over the weekend, and great to see you.
All right, thanks, Diana. Bye.
Well done, Di. So that's how Nico Prost, I couldn't understand how Nico Prost could have finished up in a Janetta, having had 10 years with Rebellion Racing, running right at the front of Le Mans. I think he had a couple of outright podiums, didn't he, at Le Mans, did Nico Prost, and his dad, of course, 4-time world champion. And there is the car with the engine developed by Janetta.
Yes.
All the years of Janetta, I don't think they've ever done any engine development. They mainly just put stock engines, mainly Ford V6s into these cars, and earlier, well, obviously smaller Ford engines mainly. So intriguing that they've gone that route.
Yeah, and as he said, they're trying to make a cost-effective, literally about the same spec as a GT4 car.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where people want to drive. Look at the car. Why wouldn't you want to drive and sit in that? Disc brakes glowing, you know, flames out the exhaust, spinning up the back wheels, and a thumping. I mean, the block itself is a Ford, but everything else is Janetta.
Yeah.
And it's amazing at what they've come up with, and they're also developing another car. So, wow. Still only one car in the 59s at the moment, a Herberth Motorsport car. And that was with Ralph Bonn at the wheel. He's just got in. I think it was Alfa Romeo who set that lap. It looks like Ralph has just got into the car.
Yeah. See, Jacob Rattlebury is in the Century Motorsport GT3 BMW now. Is he the one they said hadn't raced it before? Maybe he is. But anyway, he's down in the 2 minutes and 0.7 of a second, so that's a good run from him. Oliver Gotha is now in the Dragon Racing. The two Ferrari 296s are running within a fifth of a second of each other, with Marco Pulcini in the racing one, the German one. Interesting, because everyone was very surprised at the Nürburgring 24 hours last year when one of these Ferraris won the race, and all the German teams were not expecting that. I mean, you've got might of BMW, the might of Mercedes-Benz, the might of Porsche, and the might of Audi, and they all got beaten by the Italian. Interestingly, that car, the engine is the same as the car that's in the prototype.
Yes.
It's the same motor. I don't know if the spec's the same, but it's the same motor. Same motor, yeah.
And that was the most successful Ferrari that year. Yeah. Yeah, fantastic to watch that do so well. And obviously, it's almost the way the front unclips and the rear unclips is almost LMP-esque of putting things back together again. The 24-hour media squad were here taking some photos during the setup days, and they had the front clip of a Lamborghini and the front clip of the Ferrari side by side, and it's sort of like, wow, that's a lot of front.
Riding now with Nicholas Jonsson, originally of Sweden, but living in America for a long time. Many, many years ago, coached Tracy Crone and became his long-time partner in racing. And there's a nice... See, that's Seb. There's a top cameraman. There's a lovely little move, perfectly smoothly, off the iPhone onto the car. It's art.
Exactly. Now, one of a regular racer at Dubai Autodrome, Alex Anavas, has just reminded me we had the Janetta Zytek here. It raced here with the Zytek engine in. I remember that because it used to scare me absolutely witless.
You're talking about the sports prototype?
Yes.
Yeah, well, obviously that was a Ditech car, and Tomlinson was buying into the business, of Bill Gibson's business.
Yes.
And then I don't think in the end it didn't.
It didn't go anywhere.
Happen.
No.
But it was called a Janetta Ditech for a while, and they did in the very early days of having electric motors. They tried that. I remember going to a Silverstone test where Johnny Molan was driving the car, and they did race it quite successfully in the States with that hybrid situation in it. Interesting driver we haven't mentioned much so far that is out there is in the 14th Century Motorsport BMW, Sean Galil. Sean with a long history in single-seater racing, Formula 3, Formula 2, has driven in the WEC more recently and had some very good results there. And he did actually run in the in a number of practice session ones at Grand Prix with the Toro Rosso back in 17 and 18. Indonesian family. His father is the concessionaire for Kentucky Fried Chicken in Indonesia, and they love that in Jakarta.
Yes, well, I think it's a globally loved thing, but yes.
Yeah.
No,
and his Sean's mother, famous actress in Indonesia, actually called Rimbono. But anyway, Sean, long career, as I say, F3, GP2, F2, and Toro Rosso test driver, and then more recently LMP2 for the SMP team, and also for Extreme Motorsport, and then for Jota team that's just down the road from where I live, and then most recently with WRT, finishing of course here in third place last year.
Just keeping an eye on Elliot Earhart in the Santalot Junior team. Just on the previous lap, put in the fastest first sector of anybody in the Audi R8 LMS, running in the Pro-Am category this weekend. And yeah, that was a very, very quick first sector for that Audi.
That's a very interesting French outfit, that Santalot.
Yeah.
They're bigger in rallying than they are in racing. But they've got a lot, they're a bit like like Carlin used to. They've got lots of different teams, but very few teams run rally cars. They run rally cars in the WEC and a lot in the European Rally Championship. They run Andros Trophy cars, which are now electric. I don't know if you heard that series is all over at the end of this year.
No.
It's stopping. Andros is stopping. And do you know why?
Do you know why? Prost in that one?
Yes, Alan Prost was big in that.
Yes.
But the reason why is global warming, because they're not getting where they've been racing on the ice, they're not getting so much ice.
They have to go to Antarctica or the North Pole to do it.
Yeah, yes.
All the 76s had a rotation.
Yep.
The 76, well, you can tell it's a McLaren because it's 76.
Yes.
We only have one of those now. That has rotated. I'm just having a look to see if I can find it on my thing, because it's a little bit difficult.
That's Omar Jackson, the entrepreneur from, is it Barclay Properties, or his company here in Dubai.
So that's out of turn 12, so that's coming up the hill. It turns away down from you on the downslope there, and it looks like he's just hit the loud pedal a little bit hard there and looped that around, trying to get it mobile. Now, he can turn around to the right if he wants to. There's a big runoff there that goes up to where the old management building used to be. That's gone away now.
You see, his heart's beating fast now. You know that place. You know you could turn right there.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
He can see it if he looks at...
He might live in Dubai, and Diana is calling us. Diana, who have you got now?
Well, Brendan Leach from Herberth Motorsport, the Super Trofeo 2022 champion, has just jumped out of the car from the night practice session. How are you?
Yeah, good. Car feels great out there and just having a blast. It's there's been a couple more lights installed since I was last year in 2022, so yeah, it's like daylight out there and so much fun.
You said you were obviously here last year. When you come back after a year, the first time you get in the car, I'm sure you remember everything quite clearly, but does it take a few laps just to sort of get your eye back in?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe a couple of laps just to get the rhythm going again. You know, you do get a bit rusty after the Christmas break and too much Christmas ham, but no, you know, everything came back pretty quickly, and the team is so good. Everyone's super prepared and ready for the event. So, yeah, couldn't think of a better team to start the year with.
From a driver's view, how would you describe this circuit here in Dubai?
Very quick. runoff, but also a lot of opportunity to make mistakes. And in this kind of race, there's a lot with the multi-class racing. There's a lot of different both driver capabilities and car capabilities. So it makes quite an interesting dynamic. And from my perspective, it's a lot of fun.
What's key to having a success in a 24-hour race like this?
I think, driving smart and being super consistent and just making the most of it when you of the track when you can. To be honest, it's just need to go as quick as possible, but as safe as possible as well.
And what's the traffic like out there tonight? Obviously, we've gone into the night session now. How's everyone managing their traffic?
Yeah, quite well. There's a few cars that can be a bit tricky sometimes, I think. Especially when you're approaching the slower cars and they're not sure you're right behind them. That's the depth perception from a long way back can be a bit tricky for the slower cars.
But great fun.
A lot of fun, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you over the weekend.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Di. Down there in pit lane. We are under code 60 because of the 76 McLaren having a spin up at turn 12. If you haven't heard about code 60s before, it is a mandatory 60 kilometres an hour for every vehicle on the circuit. The timing is done through sectors. You cannot move forward, you cannot overtake. This saves us having to deploy a safety car. It's one of Creventic's really, really, really important safety things that has been taken. Now we have slow zones at Le Mans based on exactly the same thing.
Interesting, the first time I ever went to a Creventic race was at Paul Ricard, and they started the race. It was a bit heavy race. They started the race under that flag. Well, I wasn't aware of code 60. It was virtually new then. What is this purple flag with a cross and a 60 in? I thought it was some sort of secret sign or message or something. But yes, code 60 works very well indeed. And I think you were saying, Phil, that you thought if they didn't have the chance of having to really use the code 60, they were going to do a practice one, but now they don't have to.
Now they don't have to, and we're back going green again. The 76 has gone around now. There is a set time for that, 5 minutes 23 and 4/10, and you'll see sometimes that people will put on their dashboard a piece of tape which is like 5 minutes 24, just to be safe. You don't want to cut by because there are huge penalties for speeding under code 60, and it's easy to make up places, even easier to lose them.
Code 60 can have quite an interest, or can change the whole course of these races. I'm trying to say, actually, because it just where you are on the track makes a big difference. Now, if you go into a code 60, and they have changed the rules a little bit for this year, haven't they?
Yes.
Regarding taking a penalty under a code 60, you used to be able to. You can't anymore.
You can't anymore. If we're under green and you take a penalty and it turns code 60, you can complete the penalty. You cannot start a penalty. However, you have a 2-hour driver time maximum, and you have to try and work out. Okay, you have a 2-hour maximum to take that penalty from when it was being issued. Okay, if they call it code 60, we can't do that anymore. So they take it away for cars that need to do it, and they change that from 2 hours to the next time you enter the pits.
Which is fairer.
It is. It's hugely fair because you're not allowed to serve it. Also under code 60, 25% fuel in the race, except if you're running in GT3 AM or 992 AM, where you get, and have all AM drivers, you can take 50% fuel.
So you can get lucky, of course, and be just about to make a pit stop. Code 60, you dive in and you top it up, and you're basically getting a free stop.
Yep, and code 60 down at Yass basically came at a time which absolutely hurt 4 teams that were running up the front,
including in GT4.
In GT4, it was just the wrong time where you are on your strategy. It hurt the GT3 teams, not the Pro-Am or the AMs, because they couldn't allow their strategy to play out with their fast driver towards the end. We had an hour and 59 minutes and I think 12 seconds under code 60, and that changes huge amounts there as Janetta getting all squirrely underneath it. Sorry, I keep calling that a Janetta. It's a
Janetta.
The reason is we have a Janetta ice cream in Australia, and it's spelled exactly the same, and it's pronounced Janetta. And Nick had to take me aside in Kuwait and give me the schooling on pronunciations. And if you know Nick, that is a schooling from the dunce of the class.
So the 83 car Proton Huber competition up there, still in second place. And just changed drivers, actually. And Rinat Salikov, who I presume is Russian, just stepped in that car. Not sure of his CV in racing.
There's another viewing area which is down on the inside of turn 1. We just saw a glimpse of it there as the car's coming out. That's called the terrace. There's a lovely area down there. There's a food truck down there as well. You can get there from the Apex Garden. You can walk down behind the paddocks, down into the motorsport zone where all of the teams are based, and go down there and watch from down there as well. Also up in the grandstand, where from the grandstand you can see 9/10 of this circuit.
Which is phenomenal, isn't it? We've got a fantastic view. Obviously, we've got our monitors as well. We've got cars side by side down. Last of the late breakers here.
Race tomorrow, guys. Race tomorrow. Well,
the Get Speed Mercedes there.
Well, seeing how German marques have won this car since forever, is there anything that we can think is going to change it this year?
Well, you know, I'd like to say the Bentley, but it's a bit at the end of its life of racing, really. It's great to have it here, but it isn't like the latest thing, is it? Well, the obvious answer is Ferrari, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, they've already done it. They've already made it the statement with this car at the Nürburgring 24 Hour, as you described.
So Ralph Bone is currently at the Herberth Motorsport, getting a lot of nice laps in there. Is Ralph, the A+ driver, amateur plus driver.
What is that plus? You were going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I was going to talk about the plus. Well, it's a Creventic thing. If they think somebody is a bronze, an FIA bronze, which basically is an AM in this series, but if they think someone's a really good bronze, they make him an A+.
Okay.
So Creventic are adding to that system.
I think I have Peter Snowden down there in the pit. Snowy, are you down there?
Yes, I am, Phil. Thanks. I've just got Seb, our cameraman here, wondering why he's filming a garage with the door shut. It's not exactly the most part of a 24-hour race, is it? This is a 902 Porsche in the Hankook Motorsport team. And Diane and I were trying to work out why this was. Well, I went to all Joe Bradley and detective and went around the back of the garage and went in. And would you believe, as they put it very openly, and I do love race managers that are open, they said, we made a slight mistake that we overfilled it with oil and it wasn't doing it a lot of good. So they've done a bit of the night session, enough to be legally in the race. Parked it up and they're just redraining it, going back through it again, and everything will be all right for the race. But a little bit of a precaution now on the 902. So that car, it's always worrying for us when we see shutters down, certainly before the race has even started. And just going back to your thing, Phil, you were talking about the 296 Ferraris, which we obviously won the Nürburgring 24-hour last summer, last May, first Italian car to win it. And you mentioned about how incredibly well built it is. I think they used a description at the time that really it's an LMP car built to GT3 rules.
Most definitely. Thank you, Snowy. We'll come back to you later on as we have just under 41 minutes to go in this practice session.
And just seeing that Stuart Hall has now got into the Dragon Racing.
Something could happen now.
Stuart running that operation for Royal Gotha, and a former WEC AM champion in GTE AM. Won that championship with Aston Martin years ago. And Stuart is mega in Royal Gotha's old historic Formula 1 cars at Monaco. Last Monaco historic, I think he won 2 of the categories, both in the McLarens. I think one in an M19 and one in an M23. Absolutely mega in those still. Stuart, I first met Stuart, he was racing T-cars when he was 15 years old. Wow. And he never started racing since. I did an interview with him actually when he was 15. Yeah, it's a great guy, and he's also an excellent commentator. I'm hoping he might pop up here.
Well, we had all of them, the guys, and Stewie Hall up in the booth with John last year. Yeah. And I sat out for about half an hour because Ollie was going to F3, you know, and there was lots of news stories around there. And I have to thank John for this. He gave me the book of all of the McLaren
Oh, yes.
cars.
Yes, a fabulous book.
And I mean, it's next to my helmet on my mantelpiece, right? Because all of the cars that I've driven have been Golf Middle East sponsored, my Clio Cup car and my Radical. So, yeah, it's really, really good. What's Snowy got for us down there in the pits?
Just a very quick update. I went down to see Stuart Hall, who's a very good mate, and Andrew's very right that he is an excellent commentator. And we had him in Classic Le Mans, didn't we, a couple of years ago, Andrew? And I went down to have a chat with him. They're in the furthest garage, of course, which is apparently so it's good for your step count, mate. Not quite sure what he means, no idea. But he said, can I come and do a bit of the commentary? And I said, yeah, well, how about now? And he said, I'm about to get in the car. And I just said to him, well, Stuart, life's full of choices, mate. You make it. And he went, I'll see you later.
Good, nice
stuff.
one, Snowy. Well done, mate.
Brilliant stuff. A couple of comedians in pit lane. That's all we need for a 24-hour race. And we will definitely have Stewie Hall up in the booth, have a chat with him a little bit later on.
Quickest car out there at the moment, and we haven't spoken that much about it, is the Grove Racing Mercedes-Benz from Australia. Well, New Zealand family, but run it out of Australia. And Jordan Love at the wheel at the moment, doing a 2:01.9 last time around, which is the quickest. Oh no, actually just been usurped by Jason Hart, the American, who has raced in this series, certainly at Kota, I remember talking to him there, and he's just done a 2:00.597. That's a very quick lap in the Herberth Motorsport Porsche from Jason Hart.
Yeah.
He's done most of his racing in BMWs, in fact, and.
Yeah, you were talking about the Grove Racing. They won the Spirit of the Race Award down at the 6 hour.
Yeah, well done, Seb.
He had to get that in.
And you know that's really difficult to do that with a heavy camera.
And that's a big camera, but Seb's a big boy.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he owns Queensland Raceway. He bought Queensland Raceway, totally reinvigorated the race. I used to race supercarts out there, and it was just like in a paddock. And now it's totally revamped. All the toilets work. Has got fresh technical paint. He's really done a lot of work. I mean, he's a racing driver, and his son's racing as well. Yeah. He had a big accident at Mount Panorama in the GT race, and it took him a long time. It took him 12 months to get back in the car. He was he came off of that second best, and he really did say, I think it was to Rusty actually, not sure if I'm going to get back in there again, but he's a racing driver. Of course, he's going to get back in there again. But yes, they won back here. I think it was 2009 from memory. I remember I was doing the podiums back then. I was at a Tiermeyer when they played the Australian National Anthem. It's the first time it was played here.
Yeah, they say there's quite a bit of money in pet food.
My friend who left here actually went back to Australia, lived in Queensland. Their place was, I think, between the Gold Coast and Brisbane. And Gold Coast is where a lot of motor racing drivers live or lived. Barry Sheen lived there. Mick Doohan lives there. So
there's the Bentley.
Let's have a look what happened in the pit lane. Ooh.
Oh, nice move.
Ooh. He was waiting for the next car.
Yeah.
And the Razoon Northern Racing KTM decided I'll take a little bit of that. Very close call in the pit lanes, but they're so fit down there.
You've got to be so careful in the pit lane. I mean, I have been knocked down in the pit lane.
Really?
At Brands Hatch.
Oh.
But it was by a world champion.
Yeah.
Denny Holm knocked me down.
Oh, yes.
I was standing right by and he'd actually let the clutch out, looking behind him. And I was right by the front wheel. I went over the top of the car. I finished on the pit road on all fours with the camera around my neck. Got up, not a scratch. The camera was still working. And I had a word with him afterwards. He apologised.
Of course he did. It's Danny Hume we're talking about there.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. Century Motorsport have now got Chris Salkeld, who wasn't involved in the qualifying, was he? And he's a young runner that's pretty damn quick in those sort of cars, and is racing that car. I think he'll be racing it in the British GT Championship this coming season.
Yeah, quite a few of the drivers, because they only need to have 3 drivers. A lot of the teams have 4 or 5 drivers, so a bit of time to be done out there.
Now here's a surprise that we didn't expect. Jason Hart, the American, has gone second in the Herberth Motorsport car, and
that we have a Pro-Am and an Am car at the lead of this field at the moment. The first GT3 is Renat Salikov in the Proton Huber competition car. So the Huber name is up there twice now.
Proton, of course, a big German team. I'm not sure what the relationship is there.
Now, is this Christoph Huber we're talking about, who runs in the Porsche Super Cup, and he also was the right-hand man of the late great Walter Lechner, Lechner Motorsports, who runs the Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East, now run by the two sons.
And basically runs the best team in Porsche Super Cup.
But what happens is they get all of the because that championship has been running down at the Yas Marina circuit 108 kilometres to my left this weekend. But what happens with them, they get all the newest incarnations of that car before they go to Europe.
Do they? Yeah.
So when we changed from the sequential shift to the paddle shift, those cars came out here. That's why we get so many of those. And Dylan Pereira is a multiple champion in this region before he went to Super Cup. So, and he knows this track very, very well. So we have a few of those drivers out there that compete in the local series here, as well, the local series in the Middle East, which is housed in homed in Bahrain at the BIC circuit. And they come here, they go to Qatar, and I think maybe going to Kuwait as well, to Motortown, Kuwait, on that lovely circuit, which has the same level of lighting as what we're looking at across now. And a lot of I'm very impressed with what they've done, because a lot of the drivers are complimenting it now, the new lighting system here. It's been 18 races with just probably under a quarter of the track under lights. It started at turn 14 and went down to turn 1. And let's head down to the pit lane. Snowy, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Phil, you were just saying about how teams use this session in different ways, and perfect time. In the 901 Pro Sport Racing team here, you can see that Seb's got the camera on it now. They're doing a brake disc, or rotors as you call them in the Southern Hemisphere. Don't stand on those ones, Seb, they're really hot. Yeah, so just a little example of exactly what they're doing. You know, no big rush, also quick change of drive, a bit of acclimatisation, and just doing those rotors there for you, the pads out, very, very quick and easy. I mean, honestly, quick pit in the UK would take 10 times as long as this to get this done on your road car. We're going to go up to Century Motorsport, which is the sort of leading British team in this session to have a quick chat with Darren Leon, if we can.
Cool, thank you very much for that, Snowy.
Just going back to Jason Hart, I'm just checking, his career goes back to 1994. He's been racing that long, and here he is right at the top. Been very successful.
30 years he's been racing.
Very successful recently. And he was here last year. I think he was driving the second Herberth car here last year.
I can't remember. I've had a sleep since last year.
22, he raced in the JMW Ferrari at Le Mans, and he was the champion in the class of the GT4 America Championship, the SRO series, and 21. He was again the class champion in that series, and just going back, being successful in IMSA. He ran a long time running with a guy called Mike Hess, and Mike Hess is big in the oil industry in America, so long career, raced
30 years,
raced with flying, well-known driver, one of the best-known driver coaches out there in America, and but you know, so he's a real veteran. Probably been racing longer than almost anybody else that's out there, and he's right. I mean, putting really good lap times in, so well done to Jason Hart. Maybe that's somebody that Snowy could unearth. The number 50 Huber Motorsport, Jason Hart, we'd like to talk to. I know there's a lot of people down there, so if you can find it, it'd be great.
Busy pit lane.
Very busy.
On board coming up to turn 12 now. So and, this lighting system is absolutely brilliant. It's really, really good. Yeah. You can see it. You get a lot more side vision. When you used to go up turn 3 and 4, you had no reference point. You're pointing up a hill, and all the drivers would say, well, you just aim at the building and then turn. You know, it was very difficult to try and get the area correct. The darkest place on the circuit now seems to be down here in the final corner, because we've got the hotel all lit up.
Yeah.
And then, oh, hello. Let's get a little bit close.
Oh.
It gets quite dark here because there's a light on the inside, but nothing on the outside except for the hotel.
Well, why has he got that red light flashing on the back of his car?
I have no idea.
That's funny,
that one looks like a pit lane.
Yes.
Snowy down in the pit lane. What do you got for us, mate?
Yeah, I'm down here with Herberth Motorsport, and we've got a couple of legends here. We've got Lewis Plato, not the one that did touring cars. He's retired. He's past it now. We've got Lewis, who's got the whole career ahead of him yet, and of course, young Dan Harper here, who's been at Herberth Motorsport, a British GT champion this year, and of course we know him as a BMW Junior Team driver. So, guys, how's the session going for you two? Who's going to start?
I'm not driving, so let Lewis answer.
Well, we'll do with you then. So you'll do the coaching.
I think it's going good. Obviously, this is the last session before the race, so they're just going through all the driver swaps, all the procedures, just getting the last sort of check on the balance. Obviously, the track's a lot cooler than they've ran all week, so just seeing how the car feels in that condition, and yeah.
I love how you wiggled your hips when you did that.
Yeah. See how it's moving, and yeah, I think there's smiles everywhere, so that's a positive sign.
It's always good when drivers smile. We covered this already. Lewis, you're more used to driving Porsches, so engine's in the wrong end of you for this car.
Yeah, you could say that. I've been with BMW now for over a year in the GT4. It's lovely, obviously, to make the step up to the GT3, and the car's fantastic. You know, they've done a great job developing it. For us, like I say, we had a bit of a tough start to the week, so we're just catching up on track time. Tonight, cycling through drivers, pit stop practice. A few little, maybe small tweaks on the setup just with the night conditions to see if that benefits us. And yeah, just overall looking forward to tomorrow.
Now, as Dan will bear out on this, it's my job to ask silly questions. What's the step up like from a GT4 BMW to a GT3? So with the same brand, same manufacturer, what's it feel like when you go from one to the other?
A lot quicker. The car's a joy to drive. You know, in GT4, you always want a little bit more from it. You know, you have to be a little bit more patient through the corners. You want a bit more power, and the GT3 just gives you all of that, really. So it's a real pleasure to drive, particularly in the high-speed section through here. I think, like you'll see, obviously through the race, how quickly we catch the Carrera Cup cars, the GT4 cars, and really for us drivers in the car, you know, I think the way the car is so drivable, it brings the field closer. So actually, you really have to execute your job very well to stand out.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason. Dan, we'll talk to you more over the weekend. Century Motorsport will be moved out of the way, because I think the car's actually going to come back in now, or the next car, the pit box is coming in.
Thank you, Snowy. We worked out what the red flashing light is, and so is race control. They've said, please turn the rain lights off.
He's hit the button by mistake.
He has, indeed.
That's what's happened there.
Yeah.
So, now we were wondering about Pierre Caffer in the Santalok Junior Team Audi. Put it on the pole and then came in early with a steering problem. No problem anymore. No. Caffer is the fastest man out there now, lapping at 2:01.9. We've only had that one Herberth Motorsport car go under 2 minutes, and as this session wears on, well, I think nobody else is going to do it now.
Well, I think what's going to happen is that there's a cost factor involved in how many sets of tyres do you throw at this 1.5 hours, and we've extended it slightly. It was 90 minutes now, and now it's slightly more. We've got just on 25 minutes to go in this session. How many sets of tyres do you want to go through? Do you want to get some feeling with the car when the tyres are not good? But, you know, because the cars do change. We get a lot of Hankook rubber that come off these cars. It's called marbles, and it makes the car a bit more interesting to drive. So, you know, what do you want to do? How do you want to do this? Is it just all about getting the drivers learning the track? Because if the drivers are learning the track, it's not qualifying. You don't need new tyres. So you can get around there. You can just put the fuel in, because the fuel doesn't matter in this at the moment, but it matters tomorrow. So getting everybody the seat time, and that's the most important thing for any driver, is seat time with traffic. Get to know that the track. Get to know where things are and things where you shouldn't go, and then get yourself set up for 24 hours tomorrow.
We haven't seen much of the Vortex in this session. It came out right at the beginning, but I don't think we've seen it for the best part of an hour, have we?
Let's have a look to see where the Vortex is. They've only done 10, they've done, I think, just on the outside of 10 laps. Overall, we're on lap about 30 in this session, so that sort of says where we are. But let me just see if I can show the GTX here.
In the middle of a good lap is, oh, there's the 85 CP Racing. Who's at the wheel of that one now? Charles Espinel. Yeah,
Espinel.
Yeah. Goes back a long way with the team owner. Had a lot of success over the years in America. And then had virtually a second career with this, with the Creventic. Fabian Schiller. Johnny Palmer was singing his praises earlier in the Get Speed Mercedes. Is now, just the fastest man out there by a fraction. Oh no, actually now Caffer's gone a bit quicker. Caffer's down under the 2:01 mark, and
yeah, you were saying the Toro Verde, Dico Prost is still at the wheel of that car. They've done about 19 laps, so they're a bit down on where everybody else is, but they're saving the car. Fuck Autotech is doing the same thing. Their 961 is also just getting out there, making sure their drivers get the minimum 2 laps. How much pressure do you want to put on the car? It's got to do a 24-hour race tomorrow.
Yeah, Prost on 2:06.13. That's a good GTX time, is that?
Oh, yeah, well, it's leading the GTX at the moment in front of the KTM and the Vortex.
Young Joe Wheeler at the wheel of the Bentley Continental. Great interview earlier on about that. We really filled in some of the gaps with that. And just seeing else, pretty good lap just from Benji Gotha, actually. And he's down and just looking down to see who's sort of in the 2:01s. At the moment, fastest man out there is Caffer, though.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, I'm only seeing a few a series of green down towards in the 991 Cup cars where they're just putting in their fastest laps of their individual queue, and mapped by HRT. Julian Hans is at the wheel of the 931, just done his personal best.
Multi-Porsche Super Cup champion Patrick Huysman, the Dutchman, and his brother has raced a lot. I thought he might be a little bit quicker than that, but then, you kind of forget he's sort of almost 60 years old now.
Exactly.
I remember commentating on those races 20 years ago, and he was the man to beat, and he was right at the front all the time.
Yeah, well, he doesn't want to spend all his fuel today. We've got a long race to go tomorrow.
Well, that's true also.
Yeah, so, let's just make sure that we get to the end of this session and everybody's happy. The car's in one piece. And let's see what we can do with this as the Janetta makes its way into the pits.
Some 20 minutes left here at the Dubai Autodrome. As we look out of our window, we can see the track going in several different directions. And also, you can see a major road behind it with plenty of traffic on that, presumably heading down towards Abu Dhabi. Is it down that road?
If they're going to that way, they're going towards Ras Al Khaimah, and if they're going to that left, they're going to Abu Dhabi. We're looking west at the moment. That's Mohammed bin Zayed Road. And when it was fully dark and we didn't have lights around turn 4 and 5, 6, 7 around there, we used to, why is that car going slowly? And there used to be a truck on the road. Or there's an emergency vehicle on the track. No, it's just one of the trucks with an orange flashing light. We've all been caught out by that. This year, we shouldn't have any of those issues.
As the rattle gun goes off, the Hankook goes on, and that car will rumble out of the pit lane. It is nice and smooth.
Putting no pressure on the clutch.
I think in this, in Creventic, you are allowed to spin the cars, spin the tyres as you leave. One of my bugbears in the WEC, you're not. And in IMSA, of course, you are. And, everybody likes the smell of rubber off their nostrils and a bit, that's what words fail me in WEC sometimes. But anyway, it's not easy to run any race series, is it?
No, it's not. And
You can keep all the people happy some of the time, and some of the people happy all the time. But you can't keep all the people happy all of the time.
Never can, never can. Many have tried, many have failed. Creventic are one that have succeeded.
Yeah. So just point out that the guy who's been fastest to the Herberth Motorsport car is Alfred Renault's been in that car a long time. He's doing a big run.
Let's have a little look-see where he is at the moment and on where they are.
He might be coming in actually now.
Yeah.
His last lap was 2:13.
Snowy, what have you got for us down in pit lane?
Yeah, just a light bit of information from. I'm just standing in front of Darren Lewin, who's about to get into the other Century Motorsport BMW. In fact, the one of the cars just out there, the 1-4, number 14 car. That's just gone out with its driving there. But you talk about discipline of endurance racing, and it's a long-held adage, isn't it, that stay out of trouble and stay out of the pits. And the driver that was just in the number 14 now just was released, and then the team manager realised straight away and stopped him. And mercifully, he hadn't got very far because the front right wheel hadn't even been tightened up. And they realised that just, thank goodness, it was teamwork, somebody spotted it, but absolute discipline, completely calm, just stop, again, back, push it back, on the jacks, tighten the wheel up before it goes out, and then it's coming back in again any second now. And I think, I've got Seb with me, I think the car's due any second now, and Darren's getting ready to go out and do his stint in it. It's his first time at night driving. I'm going to try and ask him a very, very quick question. Going to get run over by the Get Speed Mercedes, as he tends to in the pits. I think Darren's focusing. You right for a quick? Yeah, another way. I don't know whether we can actually hear a lot through this, but bit of night practice, bit of entertainment for you.
Yeah, it's always exciting to get a bit of night driving in, isn't it? It's been a while. It's been 2 years since I've done, so yeah, it's good fun.
You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's mega.
Yeah. It's a horrible car to drive, that M4, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah, no, it's in my opinion the best car on the grid.
Yeah.
It's really
I can tell you're struggling.
Yeah, it's yeah, no. Anyone who jumps in it on the pace straight away, and yeah.
Don't peak early. You've got a whole day of this tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally a whole day.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll leave you to it, Darren. Thank you for the time before you get in the car.
Snowy, I wonder if you can try and find your way down to Herberth Motorsport. We had a terrific lap from the veteran Jason Hart's been racing for over 25 years. The second fastest, that's the German team, Herberth Motorsport. Number 50 car is in the pits now, so Jason probably just got out of the car. So maybe you can track him down. I know it's always difficult.
I'll do my best. I heard you and Phil talk about these people that have been driving like 25 and 30 years. And I've got my licence for my 40th consecutive year this year. Just saying.
Is that a licence for a wheelchair? Not sure.
I
had to get that one back from this morning. Thank you very much.
Antipathy and humour in so early, not even before the race as well.
We haven't really given Snowy a plug, have we? But he has raced at this track. He does know the track well. Yep. And doing a great job down in the pitch there.
That's why he's holding a
microphone now. Yeah, but you only get the carrot if you get me Jason Hart.
Yeah. Indeed. A lot of cars in the pits now. I think they've done what they've needed to do. There's just under 16 minutes to go. So I think everybody's just sort of, look, there's no rush around the CP racing car. It looks like they're just going to park that back in the garage. Everybody's done their 2 laps. They're happy with where they are.
Team owner Charlie Putnam, he's a good guitar player, and he's got some sponsorship from a guitar manufacturer. Not many people have got that well-known guitar manufacturer, and he made a CD of his songs, sort of folky type stuff. Pretty good though, Charlie. And 10 years or so ago on his ranch, he crashed his off-road vehicle, and it finished up on top of him. He was there all night. And, they didn't know where he was because he was out in the boonies somewhere. But anyway, fortunately, he's recovered from all that. But that was a nasty scare for him. And I think his wife's called Diane.
Yeah, look, we spend a lot of time in the CP pit, as we do, because they have really good coffee. Like the guys and girls in pit lane, they know where to go to get the good coffee.
This shot here, is that the only real incline?
Well, it is. It's difficult. Television does nothing to do this. Bathurst is a prime example of that. Yeah, when you go up that hill. But there is undulations here, and you do climb. It's not a lot of elevation change, but it's enough that we have corners you climb into and come out of going down, which is turn 12. You drop down into turn 1, then you start to climb up turn 2, 3, 4, and 5, then down into 6 and 7. Then it's flat all around the backside of the circuit, down the back straight, and then down to turn 10 to the hairpin. Turn 11, it starts to turn uphill to turn 12, and that's the one that is uphill on the entry, downhill, and then you're downhill all the way through 13 into 14, the heavy braking zone just behind the paddock. And then it's another little short, sharp climb out of there up into 15, and then a downhill run into 16. We're not talking spa level of changes in altitude, but it's enough that it can upset a car, and it can make the front go light, it can make the rear go light. So it's tricky at times as the rain light continues on the BMW. They didn't get the telex from race control.
So fastest man out there now is the factory Audi driver, Christopher Arser, in the Easterland.
Oh, the 274 getting...
Oh, yeah, he caught it, well done.
Yeah, he locked up on the way in, and he just jumped on the loud pedal very, very much.
Well done.
We've seen a lot of Janetta sideways action today.
Let's have a look at it again.
He locks up.
He was carrying a lot of speed into that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he locks up, keeps it on the black stuff, doesn't do track limits, has a couple of bites at the steering wheel. I'm surprised the windscreen wipers aren't going at the moment, because he had a bit of a tank slapper going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, so just saying, look, Christopher Arser, indeed. It's not, I thought it was East Talent, but it's Easterland.
Easterland, okay.
I was speaking to Christopher at, when we were having supper, and I thought that all those Audi drivers, you know, at that level, all the GT drivers, had all lost their contracts.
Yeah. Oh,
because
yes,
because they're not supporting the R8 anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
They did massively, but apparently not so. Some of the drivers, like Christopher, got long-term contracts, so he still has an Audi. He's still being paid by Audi. So he's a terrific driver, Christopher Harson. Lovely. He's offering to come up in the commentary box. So we tend to have British people up here, don't we? But it'd be nice to have a German who speaks.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So hopefully we'll get him tomorrow. Really looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be a terrific battle. It's so open this year.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pace that we're seeing, because we have 40 very quick cars in the GT, GTX and 992 categories. And I haven't seen a grid like this that has, you know, we've only got a small number of the TCE categories, which is TCX and ECR. So the traffic is not going to be as big an issue, I think, this year as it has been. Now, somebody who actually brought this to my attention was the Mitran brothers. It was Sammy Mitran. They started off here in a Clio, and they said, all you do is look in your mirror, okay? Because that's all you're doing. Then they went to a Seat, and they said, that got more difficult because you're then overtaking people, but you're still getting overtaken by the quicker cars. And they said the Porsche, the 992 that they raced here, that was actually really good. Jamie Day, a young karter from this part of the world, he's done last season F4 UAE, and he is out there. They still run their teams down in the F4 category.
I think Snowy's got something. Do we hear you, Snowy?
Snowy, what do you got?
Yeah, I certainly did, yes. So, never let it be said I don't accept a challenge for you here. So I was in Garage 2, you can work out where that is in the pit lane, and the person I need to go and speak to is in Garage 11. But Mr. Marriott, who I have to say is older than God, sent me down to Garage 11, because we have Jason Hart.
Well done.
Jason, you've been racing a little while, I believe.
Yeah, my career started at Bob Bondurant Racing School in 1995.
That's quite a while then. Just not quite the 30 years that next year.
It's getting there. We're getting there.
You gonna have a cake to celebrate, or?
Maybe I'll be at a race. How about that?
Obviously not a cake, because you'd ruin your diet, wouldn't it?
right. No, but love to be here at Dubai. Second time at Dubai. We did all of the COTA events. We did the Sebring event with Creventic. We love Creventic. And right now we're working on a contract to do full season this year, 24H.
That would be brilliant. You come across to Europe and do some big races.
Mega. Yeah, no, we don't. There's nothing like this in the States with the GT cars as endurance. outside of the big show like IMSA. And so we're going to come over here and get Scott Noble a lot of GT3 racing experience, and then see what we do after that.
Yeah, take on, just show CP Racing. They're not the only ones from America that can do it to that part of the world.
Oh, for sure, yeah. There's no negative from America to here or Europe to there. I mean, we're all just racers. We love to do it, and really just equal opportunity race car drivers. We'll race for food.
But isn't that exactly the spirit of the Creventic 24-hour series? Everybody just it's one huge big family, isn't it? Very serious on track, very serious racing, but it's a great community.
Yeah, it's a proper level, right? I mean, it's good people. The fans have full access. It's really easy to get along with the series and your garage mates and the pit lane and all that. And it's tight, but it's tight for everybody. And the fueling is very unique, and it's not a negative. It's everybody's using the same strategy as far as what it takes to get through the fuel lane. And it's brilliant on one end, too, because you don't have to bring a fueling crew and fueling rigs and all of this with your team. Super efficient. I think it's great.
And Jason, final thoughts for the actual race, the reason you're here?
Yeah, hopefully we do pretty well. We have, Scott Noble's first time at Dubai, first time in a GT3 car, a proper GT3 car. My second time in 2 AM Gentlemen. But we're getting along well. Huber is doing a great job with the car. It's we're just starting to find the setup. This tire is very precise with the Porsche, but we're just finding it. The car just went quite quick in the night practice, and we're happy. We're ready to go, and we're going to have a good race.
Yeah, Snowy was second fastest, remember?
You're second fastest, according to Andrew.
Oh, very good. Wonderful.
I love the surprise.
Wonderful. Yeah, I haven't looked at the timesheet. I just know it felt good, so it must have been nice.
So I've got to ask, why only second?
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
That was very unfair. Jason, not the way to finish. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you more throughout the weekend. Have a good race.
Thank you. Excellent. Great to hear from Jason Hart. And obviously, he's got a long-time backer in Mike Vess, who is big in the oil industry. And it seems, he's a great coach. And obviously found a young man here who has the idea of coming to race in Europe. And I expect he wants to go to Le Mans in the future. And couldn't have a better guy to drive alongside you. And he's gone to a very good German team, top team at the Nürburgring, obviously Huber,
Yep.
and it's all gelling for them. Terrific stuff.
Brilliant
and a bit of a surprise, really, because I wouldn't have picked that car out as one that was going to be right near the sharp end, but there it is. And Jason Hart still obviously a hell of a peddler.
Yeah, Jamie Day on board with him at the moment. His dad runs XL Motorsport here with a great group of cars in the F4 UAE Championship. Jamie, ex-champion karter as well, moved up into F4. Now he's taking on the likes of the 911 GT3 Cup car.
Is he from the UK originally?
Yeah, originally, but their whole setup is here and Dubai Autodrome. So they run karts, they run Formula 4, and they're also running, looking at getting better. Dad Kevin Day, know him very, very well.
Yeah.
Still gets out in the shifter karts. Seriously, yeah, most definitely.
Just talk to me a little bit about the Formula 4 out here, because it seems to be a very vibrant series. A lot of people coming from all around the world to race here in the winter. In Formula 4, it's very much a training ground. A lot of people used to go down to New Zealand in the Toyota series.
Yes.
And I think they still do, but a lot of people seem to be coming here to hone their skills. Young kids, with straight out of karting, obviously got lots of talent.
The main reason they come here is they can maintain their pro status when they go back to Europe. They have at least, I think, 10 races in about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
We've got a grid of around just on 40 cars. Dorian Pan had been driving in the last one. She's in Daytona this weekend.
Yeah.
I was actually chairman of stewards for this Formula 4 for 2016. Had a couple of young kids called Oscar Piastri and Logan Sargent racing there. Oscar could barely see over the wheel, but it's come on in leaps and bounds. It was started off here by TTR Motorsports. Obviously, it's now with Top Speed because they've also bought the Formula 4 Championship in Australia, and some of the cars will be going there for their championship as well. Yeah, Top Speed running the 2 championships that run here. They have 3 regional Middle East, which is the detuned Formula 3 car. They had about 36 cars on the grid, for around 36 cars on the grid for that as well. Yeah. And they're doing back-to-back races, supporting. We've just had back-to-back racing here in Dubai. Last weekend we were in both. We were Creventic down there, Porsche here, Porsche Carrera Cup Middle East, run by Lechner's. They're down there this weekend. We're up here this weekend. And then the 2 weekends previous, we were down at Yas doing different configurations of the circuit. We did the Grand Prix Corkscrew and the North Circuit for the various championships as well. So a massive month of motorsport here in February between the two circuits, because our championships season for our Golf Pro Car and our Golf Radical Cup on our bikes, that runs from around about October through to March, April. And then everybody can go to Europe and go through their seasons. And for F4 as a rookie, and then they can win the rookie championship for wherever they go. So we run the Abarth engine out here with the Tatus chassis, which is running in Italy, run in various countries.
Snow, you're trying to call us up?
Yes, indeed, yes. Right, guys, I'm just down in the pit lane at the very other end now. So worked out perfectly for us. We've got Alfred Renauer, who's just stepped out of the Herberth Porsche, which is the quickest car on the track. Sorry, Alf, if you just come and stand outside here because of the radio connection. I say, Alf, I'm going to put a smile on a driver's face here. You've just stepped out to the fastest car in the session.
Yeah, it was just night practice, but always good to be the quickest car. To be honest, it was much better now in the colder conditions. We struggled a bit in qualifying. That's why we're just starting in 8th position. But now I think it's getting better when it's getting colder.
Obviously, you're looking forward to the race?
Yeah, sure. It's really I'm really happy to be here again. So I think my 10th time in a row, and hope for a good race, for a clean race. I think we have a good pace, and the most important to finish 24 hours.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because first you've got to finish before you can win. Can't
yeah,
you?
true.
Yes, pretty important.
Yes, it's most important.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and we're loving the livery on it. It's very Andrew Marriott in our booth here. It's from a different age, quite literally. It's very reminiscent of John Player special colours on Lotus Formula 1 cars back in the 70s, the black and gold.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty nice. I love it. When I saw it the first time, I found this is really cool. And I think we go like this for another round here.
Yeah,
Alfred, thank you very much. You've just stepped out of the car.
Red
thank
flag,
you very
Snowy.
much. Thank you.
We got a spinner stopped out the 989 car, stopped out on the track.
Turn 7.
One of the twins. I did handle JPS account, of course, for a number of years. And I told you this before, but when Ayrton Senna joined Team Lotus, he signed his contract in secret on my boardroom table.
With 2 minutes to go, this session will not be resumed. It'll take a little bit too long to get the 989 sorted, and so all the cars will make the way back into pit lane. We almost got there. We got an extra 15 minutes.
Yeah,
anyway.
they got an extra 15 minutes. Yeah. So. Alfred Renauer, that was a very long run. I don't know how many laps he did without stopping, but they were obviously trying something, weren't they? And they're very clever. You know, I really think that Herbert is one of the top teams that really use their heads out there, and they were obviously up to something and learning something. So, interestingly, we got in this excellent night session a Porsche 1, 2, 3, and then an Audi, and then a Mercedes, and then a BMW.
Yep. So I'm just trying to find out his stats of how many laps he did, but it's not coming up. But
no,
yeah, it was considerable.
I was out there for at least half an hour, I think, if not more. I wonder if they were trying to see on the tyre wear whether they could use a set.
Exactly.
Do 2 stints on one set.
Well, we were talking earlier on to Janetta about that, and I said, well, you save a lot of money if you don't use, you halve the set. But as you mentioned earlier on today when we were qualifying, the track surface is a little bit abrasive, and so, I was chatting to a couple of people down in the pits yesterday just to understand what they were working on their tyre strategies in GT4 and also in GT3. And also their fuel strategies. Now, we'll talk about the BOPs on fuel and everything else, but I think what he was doing a tyre and fuel run just to get a good measure for their nighttime stints, because we've got the cooler air, makes more power, a little bit more oxygen in the air. The track starts to come around, they get more grip, and with more grip is more wear.
Might not have noticed it, but I didn't see anybody else doing that, having that sort of strategy, doing that long run.
I think everybody needed to get their 2 laps in. That's the first thing.
That'll cycle everybody through, because if you've got 5 drivers, you know, it takes a while.
That's an out lap, that's 2 laps and an in lap, so that's 4 laps. And that's 8 minutes. Okay, so over 8 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes. So they're going to have to do that with all of the drivers.
So that's 45 minutes.
That's
probably
45 minutes of it, something that we're going to have 90 minutes of. So there's not a lot of time left to get your best driver in the car and actually sort out, you know, what the setup's like for night. What are we going to change it between those 2 times, etc., etc. Engineer's job is never easy. Snowy, I can hear you down there.
Yeah, I was just saying the session's ended, so it hasn't restarted. But interestingly, we're just by the Racing 1 Ferrari, the lovely, the absolutely sublime 296. And I've realised the colours it's in for you, Andrew. It's Maranello Concessionaires, isn't it? Cambridge blue and red. And that's what it is.
And Snowy, I've just written an article about that. So if you get the very...
you should remember then,
sadly, you're not a member of the BRDC, but I'm trying to get you in. But I've just written an article about the Maranello Concessionaires, the Ronnie Hoare colour scheme.
Well, that's the car. Look at this. If Seb just comes this way for a minute for me, Seb, and look, we've got the other side of here. We've got all the drivers lined up and the session's over. So never waste any time. What are we doing? Practicing driver changes.
Really?
Yeah? Is that literally everybody's getting ready? We've even got Max Verstappen's overalls here. Look at that. Seb's just filming that one for it. It really is. It says Verstappen on it does. It says Verstappen.com down the side.
Well, we have got Verstappen's manager's son racing, haven't we?
What?
No, not that car. He might have bought them at an auction. You never know.
All right, they're going to put that one back in the box and start doing the driver changes. Thank you, Snowy. Let's have a look at the results of this free practice session that started just on 90 minutes ago. It was the 91 Herberth Motorsport car leading the way with some very long stints in that one. Huber Motorsport in the 50 Porsche in second position. And as you said, Proton Huber competition, 3 Porsches up the top to get this all done. Then it was Attempto Racing in the 99. Running second in the GT category. Charles Espenab at CP Racing finished off in the Mercedes in the AM category, finishing second in that. The first one was Jason Hart, who we spoke to down in the thing. Century Motorsport, Michael Johnson finished that car in the BMW M4, and I think that was the highest placed BMW. Then we had the Sandalock Junior team in the Pro-Am category. Pierre Caffer finished off that one in the Audi R8 LMS, and then the Get Speed GT3 Mercedes GT3 Evo. Al Faisal Al-Zabar finishing off 48 in 9th position. The Cellison by Cox Racing 911 GT3R. Then it was the number 10, the 22 Century Motorsport Pro-Am. Jacob Rattenberry took that one across the line. Excellent Racing team in a number 11 position in their R8 Audi in just the pure GT3 category. In GT3 Pro-Am, we saw the 76 have some moments out there as well in 12th position. Dragon Racing in 13th position in their gorgeous 296 GT3 Ferrari, and that is just in front of, they did finally get in front of the number 6 Racing 1 GT3 Ferrari. Now, they're running in different categories though. The Racing 1 is in the Pro-Am and Dragon Racing is in the pure GT3 category. Grove Racing in 15th position in their AMG GT3 Evo, and in 16th position Heart of Racing by SPS in another GT3 Evo. 17th was the Team Parker Racing GT3 Pro-Am and the gorgeous Bentley Continental GT3. Car Collection Motorsport in 96 car in 18th position, and that is the first of our 992 Cup runners. And then it's Manamuri Energy by Ebby Motors in the GT3 Pro-Am category in 19th. Haas RT in the Audi R8 in 20th position. Leipert Motorsport in the only Hurricane GT3 Lamborghini here this weekend in 21st. 22nd, MRS GT Racing in GT3 AM in the 911 GT3R. 23rd, the 971 Rabdan by Fulgenzi in the 992 Cup car, and then the 929 also running in the 992 category in the AM category in 24th position. 25th, Santalock Junior Team running in the GT3 AM in the Audi R826 is the 962 Fuck Auto Tech in the 992 Cup car. K-Chroma Racing in 27th. I've got a heap of 992 Cup cars here. The 908 in 28th position. Seb Lodju by Duo Racing, and then the SMP Racing 937 in 29th. QMMF by HRT in 30th position, and then the Team Captain America by Baz Coton Racing in 31st position. And the Toro Verde, the G56 V8 Janetta, the 795 in 32nd position. As we flick over the page, it was another 992 Cup car, the 907 RPM Racing in 33rd. Razun More Than Racing, the 714 KTM Crossbow, and in 35th, the Red Camel Jordans.NL, the 909 in the 992 Cup car, followed by another 992 Cup, 921 Muller Motorsport in 36th position. 37th, 901 Pro Sport Racing, and then 38th, the 961, the VAC Auto Tech, the second of their cars here running in AM and Pro-Am. AM and 992. New Alpha Rennsport by MRS GT in 39th position, and then the Vortex in 2.0 running in GTX in 40th position. 41st was the 927 SRS Team Sorg Rennsport 992 Cup car, another 992 Cup car. 989 the MRS GT in 42nd position. Red Ant Racing in 43rd position in their Cup car, as well as Baz NKPP Racing by Baz Coton Racing in 44th position. 45th, HRT Performance in the 992 AM car in 46th position. AGMC Racing Team by Simpson Motorsports, the first of our GT4 cars in the M4 GT4 BMW. CWS Racing in the 278, 47th position for the G55. AC Motorsports, the 188, the best of the TCRs for in 48th position. And then the Century Motorsports, the 429, 49th position for them in the M4 GT4. The Supra from Continental Racing by TTR in 50th position. 51st, the 277, the second of the CWS Engineering Janetta G55. Then we move into the TCR category in 52nd position, the 138. Simpson Motorsport RS 3 LMS DSG TCR. Then it is the SRS Team Sorg Rennsport, the 227 in 53rd position in their 718 Cayman GT4. Had some issues earlier on today. The Lotus PB Racing Elise Cup PBR in 54th position, and then in 55th position the Holmgard Motorsport with that overfilling oil issue, and they decided that will be we may not be out there to do that. They did run earlier in free practice.
Well, I just noticed listed on the 51 car, our old friend J.M. Littman suddenly appeared on the entry list. We saw him earlier, said he might get in that Janetta. It was a bit of a very last-minute deal, that, so hopefully we'll see J.M. racing. Indeed.
Let's have a look at the highlights of this night session for the 19th running of the 24 Hours of Dubai, powered by Hankook. of the 24 Hours of Dubai here at Dubai Autodrome, getting underway on track. Lights will go out at 1 p.m. We'll be on air about an hour before to do the fantastic grid walk that we always do at this race. We'll have all of the crowd down there. It'll be packed, and it will be our intrepid team down on the grid and as well as up here in the box. But for now, alongside me, thank you, Andrew Marriott. Thank you, Peter Snowden and Diana Binks down in the pit lane. And we're going to be looking forward to your company when we come back and go racing here in the Creventic Series for the big race of the year here at Dubai Autodrome, the Hankook 24 Hours of Dubai. We look forward to your company tomorrow. Bye for now.
Yeah, good night.